Hello, this is Sergeant Griffin, and we're here at Center City, Philadelphia's Weston Fitness Athletic Club. And you're actually going to take part in Professional Touch Fitness workout video series. Today we're going to work on two major body parts, and that would be chest and back. We're going to be doing inclines, decline presses, working different machines that are going to touch the different parts of the body. Not going to do this by myself. I have a few folks that are going to help me, but starting, I have a good buddy of mine that I train with, Mr. Darren Washington, and he's going to also work along with me as we're going to show proper techniques in properly executing the movements, selecting the weights, and working out different workout programs that you're doing. And for the most part, you're just going to kind of watch and observe as we go through our different workout programs. Now, we're not so interested in the size of the weights that we're going to be lifting as we are in proper technique, proper form, and proper delivery, and even working out the rest period and regimenting your whole workout routine for you. So you'll be kind of like viewing two guys and gals when we have females working with us as we go through our workout routine. And it doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are, what your gender is. A workout program designed specifically for you can help you reach your goal, whether it's to build mass, build strength, to tone, to slim down, or just to maintain optimum health. So we're not looking here to be a bunch of beef, buffed up guys out here or muscle-bound ladies or men. This is a workout routine that everybody can work with. Don't worry, we'll clear all that as we go along. Okay, and also periodically we'll be tossing back and forth some questions that you probably may have in reference to workout, certain routines that are necessary to do, things dealing with nutrition, dieting, and things of that nature also. All right? So, Darren, you ready to get this thing flowing?
Let's go.
Outstanding. What we're going to do, we're going to start with the traditional flat bench routine. And what you want to do when you're working out with a partner with flat bench, you definitely want to make sure they know how to spot. Not everyone really does. He'll take his proper position. You want to make sure the bar is as evenly spaced apart as possible. And different people have different arm lengths, so their grips will also vary. If you happen to be someone who has real long arms, you want definitely a wider grip. The more closer together your arms are, the more of a tendency to work more of the triceps than chest. Also, if you have a problem with your shoulders, any discomfort or limited range of motion, you will probably unknowingly safeguard it by keeping a closer grip. I tend to do that myself since I injured my shoulder a little while ago, and so as a precaution, I tend to keep a narrow grip. And when I'm working with lighter weights, then I go a little wider with my grip, and that way I'm able to work more of the chest. Now also, when Darren goes to execute, we're going to get ready to start. I'm going to lift him up on 3. He gets the control first. He's going to go for 10 reps. Again, working the chest or the pectoris. And as he exerts or pushes the weight up, he will exhale out. He's breathing in and he's breathing out. Full extension of the arms and bringing the bar right down to the chest. You're getting good stretch on the pecs. You're also going to work the triceps secondarily and the anterior delts, or the front parts of the shoulder, also secondarily. And as you get to the point where you're ready to go and you're ready to stop, you have your partner here just in case you run into a little trouble to be able to pull the bar back or to help you up should you get to a point where you can no longer press out anymore. All right? All right, Chief, you can recover. Now, a lot of people who tend to work the chest, there are different type of routines that they want to do to work different areas of the chest. Flat bench is considered pretty much an all-around exercise because although you may not notice, you're also working your back here. You're also working your abs also for proper form in working this particular routine. But this works the major portion of the chest. We also have the incline chest press, which works the chest, but more specifically, the upper portion of the chest. I'm going to have my partner here stand behind me on top of the platform, and you actually get a chance to see where you would actually execute this particular maneuver. Okay, also again working with your proper grip, and you lift up. Excellent. And you bring it down. You want to bring it just above the nipple line, so you're working the upper portion of the chest. Again, you're working the anterior or front part of the delts. You're also working the triceps, and you must maintain a steady flow of breathing. You do not want to hold your breath, as is the old rule from old school. There are a lot of people who still continue to hold the breath. When you're lifting weights, your blood pressure also elevates. just slightly. Now, if you happen to be someone who has a problem with high blood pressure, when you're lifting the weights, you're going to elevate your blood pressure a little higher. When you hold your breath, you're going to elevate it a little higher than that. And just from the physical exertion, as with doing declines, you'll actually elevate a little higher than that. So if it's already borderline, you're pushing yourself into a lot of trouble. All right? So we're going to do another one, working the pecs again. And this is a little interesting one. Not many people who work with weights kind of favor this particular routine. And I actually want to do these with a pair of dumbbells. I'm going to ask my partner if he can grab me a couple of 20s, just so I can show you proper form and technique with these. And you'll notice, as you come to work out, having a routine together that you want to work with, you get your material and everything set, and keep everything pretty much out of your way. Now, we're able to do that today because there's no one else here to trip over anything that we have. Now, in working the chest, I'll do a set of these, and we're going to have my partner do some for the flies that we're going to do as well. Yes, sir.
Quick question.
Mm-hmm.
How do you climb or get on
Into
this
this little
apparatus?
configuration?
Yeah.
Interesting
Without
question.
dropping the weights, or
Well-
you have me hand them to you, or do you?
Well, two things, and I'm glad you asked that. If you're working by yourself, it is a little of a challenge, a little bit of a challenge to get in this particular thing. You will secure the weights that you're going to actually raise, and you position yourself where you're able to sit on the padding, get your position set, keeping your shins up against the pad here, with the weights resting right here on your upper thighs, holding them in place. And you're getting ready to do your particular routine, you keep them close to the body. And then as you using your abs to come down into place, turn them right over to the side, and you're locked and you're ready to go. And then you execute, coming straight up. But this time, you want to be below the nipple line because you're working the lower portion of the chest. Coming up, coming straight down. You don't need to hyperextend the shoulders to bring them too far back. Adds too much stress to it. So just come down just about 90 degrees, press straight back up, tap them right on the top, just to kind of help keep you honest. Make sure you're completing the whole rep. And when you're done your set, bring them to your body. Now if you have a partner, you can hand them off to him, and they take them to the rear. If not, you have the weights in hand, you bring them to the body, sit straight up. Or if you're working out by yourself, weights are too heavy, you completed your set, you brought them down, and you lower them. You're not too far from the floor, so you don't have a splashing noise going on. It's a lot of gyms, it's poor proper fitness and workout ethics to slam the weights down on the floor. All right? Okay, partner, you can sit those down. And we're going to come over here to some of the machines that we normally use to do some of the same things that the free weights will do. Now this one here is a fly machine or pec machine, which we can also use in place of doing flies with dumbbells. We also have another one, a pec deck, that we're just going to show you. Because sometimes you go into a gym to work out and they may not have flat bench. Or you go to a gym and they may not have this type of configuration, or they may not even have a pec deck. So you're trying to figure out what you're going to actually do to work your pecs. We're going to let Master Darren show us how to use this particular one. Darren, come here and break a sweat for us, Chief.
Now, let me ask you this, Nick.
Mm-hmm.
If we're working the pec deck, will that take the place of decline flies? Will it take the place of the flat bench flies? In other words, do these work the same muscles if I'm working this as it would be doing the flies on the decline bench?
Actually, you're working the same muscles. You're working them from a different angle because of the configuration of this particular machine. And also, this here also controls and balances the weight for you. Whereas if you were using flat bench, rather decline, incline, you use your stabilizer muscles. It's a little bit more of a challenge on the flat bench, the standard benches, because you have to actually balance the weight yourself. Here, the machine balances it. All you have to do is actually move the weight. And as you go along, just before you go, come back for a second. What you want to do, as you see where your hands are, if you were doing flies, you want to have your hands in alignment with your shoulders. So you would either need to bring the chair down or make sure your hands are all the way up to the top. So if your hands are here, your shoulder is straight across from it. You don't want it too far down from here. It also keeps you from wrenching the shoulder and also pulling too much as you go back to hyperextend the shoulder. Exactly. Now, there's a number of ways, a couple of ways that people usually do this. One, and I prefer this because it's more of a hugging motion. And as you begin to push the weight and go ahead and execute, you can go ahead and do your 10. You come back, you want to go back as far as is comfortable. As you come back, you're working the whole upper portion of the chest, mainly in the corners. You get a nice little stretch in the middle. This is a good finishing exercise to do after your workout. Definitely make sure you exhale as you squeeze the weights together, squeeze the handles together rather, and you can hold it tight that way. Also, some people keep their arms straight and bring them together. The advantages of both of these movements is that you put a lot of work on the chest after you've done your flat bench, your incline, and your decline to be able to work those all the way out. All right? Excellent, excellent. Now to get out of this when you're completely done, a lot of people just let the bars go. Now you want to loose to one side and then turn to the other side, and that will keep you, depending how heavy you go, from throwing your shoulders out of joint and just hyperextending them. All right. Now, since you asked the question about the flies for flat bench as opposed to the machines here, I want to show you just just a couple of rounds of doing these. Now, we want to take the time to really go over the different techniques of these. As you see in this particular gym here, we have quite a lot of equipment that you can do pretty much the same, working the same muscles, but using different type of weights or different types of machines. And doing the flies the same way as we did on the pec deck over there. Positioning yourself, bringing them straight up, bending the elbows out from a hugging motion, keeping them to this end, just slightly out to about 45 degree, and then coming straight up. And you want to feel that stretch right across the shoulders, the middle pockets of the shoulders, and right across the chest. You want to be very careful not to go too far back, just enough as is comfortable to feel that stretch. We're selecting the proper weight based on your goal. If that goal is to build bulk, of course you want heavier weights where you do lesser reps, 4 to 6, 6 to 8, 8 to 10. If you're looking for toning, you're looking for 10 to 12, 12 to 15. If you're looking to build, what would you call it? Strength and muscular endurance, then you can also do what we call pyramiding. And there's different ways to pyramid. You start with a lighter weight and you increase as you go up. One formula, as you increase in the weight, you also drop in the number of reps. The formula that I normally use, and me and Darren work out with, we will increase with the weights, keeping that same number of reps. We started with a light set of 10s. We increased, still keeping 10s, up to 4 sets that we're going to work with. All right, I just have one more that I want to show you, one more particular.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's next year. I already have the CD by Wednesday, man. Are we ready to go?
You want a damn cake.
Outstanding. Okay, here we go. We got Darren over here by the cable machines over here. Now, just a moment ago, we showed what you can do over on the pec deck. So we're going to do the same type of routine over here. Now, there's actually about 3 different positions, major, that you can work the pecs from over here. One's going to be the standard one, which would be equivalent to doing the decline press. However, you'll be standing, grabbing it. With this particular configuration here, you'll have the railings all the way up to the top, grabbing both of the handles. And notice how he gets into the movement, keeping that close to the shoulders. Now, you have a lot of people just grab them and pull and go for broke. But when you start to handle a lot of different weight, you want to be very careful to watch the shoulders. Now, he holds them close to the body. First thing you want to do, you want to lock yourself into position, whether you want to stand there with the knees slightly bent, or if you want to lean forward to keep yourself braced. Keep the upper body straight. We're going to be working the lower portion of the pecs. So you bring the arms back again, just as in a hugging motion, and this time you want to push, contracting right down at the bottom. And you bring it straight back, still with control, and pressing right under the lower portion of the pecs, and going for 10. And again, you want to exhale as you exert the energy, keeping the arms, controlling the handles, not coming too far back, just getting enough for the stretch, and working it. And this is the same as if he were upside down, doing decline press, working the bottom portion of the chest. Excellent, Chief. Excellent, excellent. And then after completing this routine, again, just as with care getting into the motion, you want to come out of it as well. So you're keeping it close to the arm, letting that one go, and letting the other one go. See, the other deal is not so much, there's more to it than just actually lifting the weight. You still want to show proper technique and proper form, getting into it and getting out of it. Now I'm going to bring it down again, since he did such a great job in working the pecs on here. Okay. All right, now what we've done, we've dropped the levels down to about shoulder height. And here we're going to actually demonstrate doing the same movement, but this time going across the chest proper. So again, he grabs the particular rings, get himself locked into place. And this will be almost equivalent to doing the chest press on the flat bench. Okay, and again, locking himself into place once his feet are set, the upper body is set, locked into place. It's going to bring the arms back. And again, execute straight out. Excellent. And working the chest, working the shoulders, and working the triceps. And again, exhaling as he presses out, keeping the back as straight as possible.
Now, do you want a full set, or do you just want 5 of these?
I get about 5 of those, yeah. This basically for the test run. And again, when done, bring them back. Excellent, excellent. Now we're going to do another. We drop those all the way down to the floor. Now this is a little tricky. Again, where we do these, and I'll do these particular ones. Again, you want to grab them up into hand. Keeping the arms straight out. Bring yourself in a position. You either, again, lock one foot to the rear and one to the front. Now, the only thing with the arms here, you want to keep them slightly bowed and bring them straight up. Coming back, stretching down to the bottom. Be careful, them straight up.
You don't want to bend your elbows too terribly much, because you're going to work your biceps.
Exactly. So here you're definitely working your anterior delts, front portion of your shoulders. You're working the chest. And the triceps are kind of hardly even felt in this particular routine.
You know,
Nate, to give you good working in here, though.
You know, it's very important to have a good partner. You know, somebody who won't, who'll be there to encourage you, but also somebody who won't like hold different exercises from you that may actually help you in development.
Exactly.
Wouldn't you agree with that?
Exactly. You know, a lot of times when I do my particular workout routines, I like to experiment with different movements. And every now and then you get to work out with somebody who's just a little timid about these things. And they try to hold you back. You know, the system's trying to hold you back. But it's all about growth. It's all about motivating yourself to get you through a particular workout, you know. And if you grow in the process, you know, it's a good byproduct of all of that, you know.
You definitely want to make sure, though, that everybody's open about every exercise that we know. We don't want to have a partner who understands things, who doesn't want to give these things to his other partner.
You also have to be willing to do these things. Next segment we want to work on will be the back. Now, normally there's different workout regimens that people have. You want to usually try to keep a push-pull. So if you do chest, sometimes you may want to do biceps, a larger muscle base and then a smaller muscle base. If you're going to do back, which is larger, and you want to do triceps as a counter workout to that. You usually want to try to avoid doing 2 push movements or 2 pull movements. One of the reasons is because you tend to fatigue the muscles in the first regimen if you're doing back and biceps. So whichever one you're doing first, you're doing much fresher, you get greater results. The second routine is going to suffer a little bit because you'll be a bit pre-fatigued from having worked 2 different body parts but working from the same angle. And what we're going to do here, working with the hammer strengths, we have what's considered the low isolation row and the high isolation hammer row. Now the advantage of these is that they alternate differently. So you can also put different amounts of weights on each side if you want to strengthen one side a little more than the other. And also you can actually work the bodies with these particular machines and not necessarily need a spotter. What we want to do here is spend a little time on the low isolation row because there's 4 different angles we can grip it from to give a better overall effect on the bike. And as you make your way around, I want you to notice here the areas that we're going to actually hit. Now this vast field of operation that we're going to build on, covering the whole back. You have the rear delts up here, you have the trapezius, you have the rhomboids in the middle, and you have the latissimus dorsi here, although the wings or the V-shaped taper that men like to get from working out with the back. Now what we've raised the seat up as high as we can, so we're going to actually work with the lower portion of the back and the middle portion of the back, doing the seated row motion on the isolation hammer strength machine here. So what Darren's going to do, grabbing the bottom rungs here, it's going to go for 5 sets. We'll just do 5 so you can actually notice the technique. Now because of the length of his arms and the angle that he's grabbing from, he won't be able to get as far an extended stretch as you would really like to get. So he's going to keep the chest up against the pad, keep the back straight, abs firm. As he pulls towards him, he's going to exhale. Only thing that's coming back are the elbows, and extend as much as he can to get that stretch. And the area of operation that he's going to hit, although you see all this flexing going on here, he's actually going to be working mainly the middle portion of the back, thus adding to the difficulty of this particular maneuver simply from the angle that he's lifting from. And you find you won't need to get as heavy a weight to work this angle. Now that's grabbing from the lower rung. Now I'm going to do the same routine grabbing from the middle. Again, going for 5 reps, working the lower portion of the back, this time working more of the rhomboids in the middle section. And again, he'll begin by pulling just the elbows straight to the rear. Excellent. Still working the whole back, but concentrating mainly on the middle portion because of the angles that he's grabbing from with the routine. Keeping his feet firmly against the footrest down there, keeping the chest resting upon the pad. So the only thing that he wants to have moving right now are the arms to pulling from the back to work on that area that he's working with. Now after having done those 2 areas, we're going to drop the seat down. And this way we're going to actually shift it up. Let's see, take about 6 or 7, 5, 4, 3, 2,
6 or 7.
Yeah, try that.
I actually go on 8.
You do? Okay, try that. That'll work. Now you find a lot of times with some of the machines that it can be a bit non-user friendly. So one of the things we might try to do when we get an opportunity is to show you how to get your adjustments on it based on your height and the area that you want to work, so you can work it more effectively, be able to move from machine to machine to machine. Now this time he's going to grab the upper rung, and in so doing, going for 5, and as you see, because of the angle, he's also able to get a better stretch. Here, working the upper portion of the back now, although working the whole back, it's more zeroed in on the front. It's going to go for 5 reps here. So you see, again, just bringing the elbows straight to the back. Now look at all that flexing going on there. Muscles there you've never seen before. And you see all of this working here, the trapezius here in the middle upper portion of the back. You have the rear delts, or the back end of the shoulders, those are also being worked. And because of the stretch here, you're also working the latissimus dorsi to work on that V taper. Excellent. Now to finish it off, or as I would call it, adding insult to injury, we're going to grab the outer rungs of the handles here, and again going for the 5 reps here, becoming a little bit more difficult. Now notice we didn't even have to change the weight here. We have different workout regimens that we'll do. We'll do killer back workouts where we'll pyramid with the weights, and we normally do 4 sets on each rung. Now you have to also avoid and watch overtraining, because you don't want to totally waste and destroy the muscle and lessen your chance of proper healing. So knowing what your objective is, you want to be very consistent and dedicated to keeping with that so you don't kind of overstress and overwork the back.
So is it important that we make sure that we understand what we lifted and the weights that we used the last time that we did the exercise?
Exactly. See, sometimes people don't write their information down, have a tendency to forget, aim a little higher than they did the last time. We don't want situations like that to happen. You know anyone that's ever happened to? Neither do I.
You know, I can't think of anyone, but you know, I believe it could be a real ego killer.
It really can, you know? Now, speaking of ego, we'll come over here. Now, this particular one is the high isolation row. And this here also works the back. Same group of muscles that the low row works. However, coming from a different angle, it's going to zero in more on the latissimus dorsi, or the outer edge of the back, and we'll show once Darren locks into place. And what we have here, you're seated into the machine with your feet resting either on the floor or over to the side on the pads here. And you have a knee pad here to kind of keep you locked into place based on just how heavy you're actually going to get with the weights. And you can do alternate arms with them if you wish to be able to work them. Here you get a greater sense of stretching, and again keeping your chest to the pad. Exhale as you pull your arms down straight to the rear, working it, getting this whole stretch action going on here. There's another one where you can actually do your pyramiding, and this is a good one where you can work out with a partner, where if you want to be able to work the weights for him as he completes a set, you can add your different weights to them, allow him to go again, and then continue until the sets are complete. All right? Now, I just want to come over here for the traditional lat pull down. While we're doing that, I'm going to ask if Darren would set up a little cumbered bar for the upright rows. We'll get those set.
You know, I'm not very good at that.
It's okay. You can just put 2 tens on each side. So just mainly want to do that for,
2 tens on each side?
no, a 10 on each side. Just want to do it today for just a demonstration. A 10 plate on one side. Oh, no, the little bar right. Now over here, you have the traditional lat pull machine. Now notice a lot of times, I've noticed that people who will work on this machine, their techniques may be off if they're not exactly sure how they're supposed to operate on here. You want to position the pad so your feet are resting comfortably under the pad. Then, once you know you have the pad height set just right, and we're going to work for the lats of the rear portion of the back, you want to get as wide a grip as you can. Now, traditionally, many would pull the bar down behind the head. And in so doing, raise the arms all the way up and pull all the way down. One of the things you want to watch out for is those who have limited range of motion, injury to the shoulders, aren't that flexible. You can bring some injury to your shoulders in doing this. It's not necessarily important to pull from the rear. You can also do the same motion in front. And you just want to slightly lean back so you'll be able to bring the bar straight down. Some would even lean back just to this point to bring it. And this is good as well. This is what you do not want to do. You don't want to have the rocking motion where many would jerk and pull the weight down and they're bouncing back and forth. That's not what you want to do. You can injure your back very easily doing it in that fashion. So you just want to pull the weight bar straight down, bringing it up, bringing it straight down, and bringing it back up. Another way to do this without having to reattach any of the other pieces that will go here, you want to work the middle portion of the back of the rhomboid. You can also grab underhandedly from here, leaning back, bringing it straight down, bringing the elbows straight down to you, extending the arms, bringing them straight down, bring it back again. You do not want to rock. You don't want to work the lower back with that much stress. Bring it all the way up. Exhale as you pull down. Slowly let the weight up. And bring it back up to the top. There's very other attachments that you can actually use to this to work the whole back proper. We're going to come over here and let Darren demonstrate the upright rows, one of his favorites. This is a good maneuver as well when properly executed. What I normally try to instruct different ones to do in any exercises that they're doing where they're standing up to kind of help take some of the stress off the lower back, I usually try to advise them to keep the knees slightly bent. Not completely, but just slightly bent, take some of the stress off. I've noticed sometimes when different ones' legs are straight, they have a tendency to do too much rocking, whether they're doing curls, or whether they're doing shoulder press, or even the upright rows, or even lunges. Sometimes their form may compromise. So he'll actually go ahead and grab the bar, the inside grip, and letting the wrists basically hang, just holding the bar securely. And he's going to bring it right up to the bottom of the chin, exhaling as he raises the bar straight up. Excellent. Right up under the chin and controlling it. He raises the bar and he lowers the bar. He doesn't hoist the bar up and he doesn't drop it back down. Be very careful as you properly execute it so you don't do damage to the shoulder, you don't do damage to the back, and you don't do damage to the wrist. So you want to be very careful in the amount of weight that you select. Make sure your grip is sure yet loose. All right? As soon as you're done with that, I gotta take a little break. Let me finish over here. What we're going to do now is properly executed T-bar row. Some gyms you go to actually have a T-bar row machine. I personally don't like them because you're leaning your chest up against the pad and pulling the weight up towards you. I mean, you get a good workout in that sense where you get to work the back, but you also get a lot of pressure on the chest pulling you against the pad while you go to lift the weight. And if you tend to lift a little heavy, that can be a bit uncomfortable. But what we're going to do here in creating a configuration here, I have it locked into the wall here so it doesn't slide out of place. And grabbing the triangle attachment that we're going to use and selected weight that we're going to actually administer. We're going to lock it right up at the top of the rung here. We want to keep the knee behind the toes here. Keep the feet flat and sure. We're going to lift with the legs. You don't want to keep the knees bent and pull up this way. Put a lot of stress on the legs and on the lower back. Got to learn to use the quads and hamstrings and glutes. Lock it into place. Come straight up. You got your knees bent. Got your arms extended. You just want to bring it straight up to the sternum and down. Up and down. You don't want to have the back rounded off. You want to keep the back flat, almost ironing board straight. Lower it straight down, bring it straight back. Now when we did the seated row over the low isolation row machine, it was almost the same type of configuration. The only difference is we're doing this with a flat bench, with a free weight configuration, as opposed to using the machine to do those with. So for the most part, these are the different routines you can actually do to work the back. You can also actually do to work the chest. You want to make sure that you're properly hydrated. Make sure you're properly nourished. And like any good athlete, you want to make sure you put your toys up. You never know when you'll come in looking for a piece of equipment, you can't find it because someone didn't put theirs up. So you want to make sure you do the same thing.
That's very important, gym etiquette. You want to make sure that you think about the people who also are using the gym with you. When we're working those cable exercises, those types of exercises are great when there aren't that many people at the gym, when there aren't that many people who want to use these cables. But when you only have one set of one thing, it's really a little difficult to want to utilize these both cables at the same time when you know somebody else may want to try and do that. We call those people who do that gym hogs.
Yeah, gym hogs. So you want to try to plan your workouts accordingly. If you know you have a lot of time to kind of waste and, as they usually call them, and be a gym rat, just hang around all day. Try to do that during the time of the day when the gym is not as crowded or as busy. And that way you're able to work with the amount of the equipment as you wish, spend as much time as you like on working out your routines, and not hold it up from others who may be on a time constraint and want to get through their routine. You definitely don't need to spend all day in a gym. You can get through a chest workout in about 30 minutes, back workout in about 30 minutes. If you're going to work one body part, you still have enough time to put in for your cardio, some stretching, ab works, and things of that nature, all those other things you want to kind of work out with your routine. And that's pretty much it.